Hey there everyone, I'm 13 News Now meteorologist Rachael Peart with a tropical update for Sunday, July 26, 2020. Let's jump into those tropical headlines right now. We're going to start things off talking about Hanna. Has now weakened into a tropical depression there. You can see that on the graphic. So we're not going to be getting too much more information from Hanna, but it continues to drop heavy rains over parts of northern and central Mexico. And then we're also going to take a look at Douglas near Hawaii. There have been some changes with the alerts in place there over the past 24 hours as that storm continues to move closer and closer. And also, we're going to get a little gander here at Invest 92L and the chances it has to become our next storm. Here's a look at Tropical Depression Hanna. This is the 5 p.m. advisory on Sunday. You see those winds now down to 35 miles an hour near Monterrey, Mexico. And we also have the pressure at 1,002 millibars. Again, Hanna expected to fizzle out as we move through the next day or so, but continuing to drop some pretty heavy rain over parts of Mexico. So unfortunate for them, but we are thankfully going to see that storm dissipate. Another storm that we're continuing to watch, this is Douglas. You see Honolulu, the island chain of Hawaii there. So we're continuing to watch this as it moves closer and closer to the state of Hawaii. I do want to change the view on this just a little bit so you can get somewhat of a better look at the eye of Douglas. So when we put this different color table on, this is still the infrared satellite showing the tops of those clouds, and where we see some of those darker colors, those blacks mixing in there as the satellite loop moves through. That's where we're seeing some of those higher cloud tops, colder cloud tops. I'm going to pause it here so you can see where that eye is right around the center part of your screen right there, and you can also see the extent of where that storm is affecting on the island chain. Taking a look here at sea surface temperatures, Douglas is right around water temperatures in that sweet spot of 80 degrees or right around 30 Celsius, I think is the conversion there, where we typically see those storms either keep their strength or continue to strengthen. But we've seen Douglas is going to be weakening as we move through the next few days, eventually becoming a tropical storm, but continuing with that hurricane strength as we move at least through the next, I believe, 24 or so hours. Looking at those wave heights, right around the center of the storm, we have wave heights over 25 feet, a little bit closer to the land on each of the different islands. Those waves are anywhere between about 10 to 20 feet. So as the storm moves away, evidently on the Big Island, we're going to see those wave heights decreasing just a bit more. So here's a look at Douglas. This is the 6 p.m. advisory. They're putting them out every hour now because it is impacting land. And as mentioned, we've had a few changes. You're seeing a lot more purple on there. That is hurricane warning for those different islands of Hawaii. And you also see Honolulu included in that as well. Wasn't included in that with my update yesterday evening. Winds at 85 miles an hour. So Douglas has weakened by 5 miles an hour. Still a Category 1 storm. And we do have that pressure at 29 inches of mercury. It's 125 miles east of Honolulu and only 50 miles northeast of Kahului. Taking a look at the current alerts in place for we're going to look at the next few outlooks for Douglas rather, and then we'll get to those alerts. As mentioned, over the next day or so, we continue with that hurricane strength, eventually becoming 80 miles an hour by early tomorrow morning, and then tomorrow afternoon, a weak Category 1 storm, but still a Category 1 storm nonetheless. Eventually by Tuesday, becoming a tropical storm with 65 mile an hour winds, and you do see those tropical storm watches in effect for some of the smaller islands back off to the left side of your screen here. Here's a look at the current watches and warnings. We do have a tropical storm warning still in place for the Big Island, but hurricane warnings for other islands, including Maui, also back towards Oahu, and some of the other islands there as well. Hawaii's hurricane history since 2000, they get brushes, but direct hits are very rare for the island state. So definitely keeping a close eye. We did see with that track some of the guidance is bringing it maybe a little bit closer to land, so we'll definitely have to keep an eye on that. Especially as we look towards Kauai, we're looking at the hurricane history there. The two hurricanes on record that have made landfall in Hawaii have both been on Kauai. That was Dot back in 1959, and then also Category 4 Iniki in 1992. So again, we'll have to keep an eye on this. Douglas could still make landfall in Hawaii, and if it does, it would be the third hurricane to do so. So something that definitely bears watching. Here's another look at Douglas, but we're going to take you back to the Atlantic And here's Invest 92L. That's the next storm that we're keeping a close eye on, especially for areas of the Windward Islands and the Southern Caribbean. Check this out. Now has a 70% chance of development within the next 2 days, and within the next 5 days, 90% chance of tropical development. So that means either a tropical depression or a tropical storm will form within the next 2 to 5 days. And the next name on the list is Isaias, is our I-named storm for 2020 in the Atlantic Basin. And could this potentially be another record-setting storm? If we get Isaias in the next week or so, it would be the earliest I-named storm on record in the Atlantic Basin. Now here comes another potential comparison to 2005. I know there's been a lot of talk trying to compare 2005 to 2020, but the current record early I-named storm is 2005's Irene. Now remember, a couple of the differences have been the amount of hurricanes in 2005 and major hurricanes versus our lack thereof here in 2020. We just had Hanna, a Category 1 storm, but we haven't had any major hurricanes as of yet, whereas in 2005 they had already had multiple once they got to a certain letter storm. So by the time they got to I, they had already had multiple major hurricanes in that year. So if you have any questions about the tropics, you can find me on social media. On Twitter, I'm _Rachael TV, and on Instagram, I'm Rachael TV, just plain there, no underscore. And also remember, subscribe to the 13 News Now YouTube channel. We're putting out these updates multiple times per day when there is something brewing, stewing in the tropics. We're going to have these updates in the morning and then also in the evening when we can. So definitely want to subscribe, tap the bell so you get updates on our tropical forecast here at 13 News Now. We're stationed in Norfolk, Virginia, so we definitely keep a close eye on the tropics for our coastal neighbors here and also for our neighbors around the world as well. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you all have a beautiful day.